Hey guys, it's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe, and I wanted to talk about The Carrier. This is a out-of-print Code Red Blu-ray, which I believe you can buy still currently for $16.99 on Dark Force Entertainment's website. Diabolic might have it, but I'm not sure. So this is an interesting one that went under the radar. It's an 80s film, I believe it was 88, and it's filmed in a small town in Michigan. It has that kind of small town charm to it. So the movie is about our main character um, living in Sleepy Rock. It's again a very small town, and I think his name is Jake, if I remember correctly. But anyhow, that's not really important. So he lives in this small town, and everyone's sort of like negative towards him. His parents died in a fire, and they're blaming him for it and saying that like he set the fire and that he wanted to off his parents so that he can get the inheritance and the house and stuff like that. So he's sort of like the social outcast of the town. But he has this, I think it's like a friend, girlfriend, and whatnot. Anyhow, the only thing I'm going to give away is, and you figure this out very early, this beast breaks into his house, like a big, looks like a bear or a person in a big bear suit, and scratches him, and he shoots it, and it dies. And unbeknownst to him, he catches this disease to where now any inanimate object he touches can kill people. So he'll touch like a wall, and then if somebody else goes over and touches the same wall, their hand starts burning off and deteriorates. So it starts spreading throughout the town. They start marking it with red marks so people don't touch those areas. Everyone's wearing sheets and plastic bags and bath mats and shower curtains and just random household items to protect themselves from not, if they do touch something, they don't get burned and die. They're taking baby chickens or chicks at the beginning, and they're putting them up against areas, and then the chicks are melting and dying, and that's how they're telling which areas are contaminated. Hence the name of the movie, The Carrier. They eventually move on to cats. They don't show any of the cats get hurt or anything like that. The special effects were actually pretty good considering they use these chickens that like dissipated and smoke came out of them and they melted and died or whatever. But they eventually use cats, and cats become almost like a commodity because they're using them to test areas, and I guess cats are more abundant than chickens or chicks. Um, it has this religious overtone to it where a lot of the people in the town are religious, and they're praying or putting a religious spin on things. Some people think that the disease is coming because um, as like a form of retribution for how bad people are. So there's a lot of like those little undertones to it. Sorry about that. Let me mute my phone real quick. So there's that going on, as well as this witch hunt for whoever the infected person is, which they don't know that it's our main character. He feels bad, of course, and he's trying to keep his distance, but there are things that do happen throughout the film. There's a doctor in the town who sort of oversees everything, like the town doctor, and he's trying to kind of put two and two together of who's sick and how it transfers, and he sort of updates everyone on it. Then there's different groups that are going against each other. I think one is very religious, and they're fighting each other over cats, and um, they start to turn on, get really heated with each other because they want the cats to test what places are bad, and the other people are hoarding them. They think so. It's an interesting concept and a lot of very weird ideas. The acting is pretty good. It has that small town charm. It's perfect for this current COVID climate, for lack of a better term, because it involves this, disease, even though touching something doesn't kill you right now, burn you to death. One of the other things that's interesting is like if they start to burn, so one guy I think was holding a book and the book was contaminated and his hand starts to burn. So he's like smoking and he's like, writhing in pain. They cut his arm off and it doesn't spread any further. It's just this part that is messed up. The only problem with this Blu-ray, so it looks good, it sounds good. Um, there's a theatrical cut and a director's cut, and if you read any reviews, and I've yet to test this myself, the theatrical cut has an audio issue where I think like a quarter into the film, the audio doesn't sync up with the lips, so there's a delay of like a second or two, and it's very noticeable. So it sort of ruins the theatrical cut. However, there's the director's cut on this, which is much better. I think, if I recall, the theatrical cut looks a little tiny bit better, but the director's cut, the theatrical cut looks a tiny bit better, but the director's cut has a little bit more, I think, DNR. So some of the stuff is a little more like there's not as much detail to things. However, the theatrical cut has the audio issue. So I would probably say to stick to the director's cut. I'm not a big, like, if I buy a movie and there's a director's cut, as long as I know it's better, I always watch that one anyway. So that's the reason I still picked this one up, because the theatrical cut, I wasn't going to go back and watch something that was chopped up anyway. Um, it's a really interesting, under the radar, B, campy, cheesy, but weird, I guess, horror or sci-fi movie that I had never heard of. And I think that more people should probably know about this. And let's see what else. The director of photography worked on Evil Dead 2. The music was done by Joseph DeLuca, who worked on Evil Dead 1 and Army of Darkness. And he also did the sound mix and monster screams. Oh, and the sound mix and monster screams were done by Bruce Campbell. So it has a little bit of an Army of Darkness, Evil Dead tie in there. But interesting film. Check out The Carrier if you haven't seen it. It's currently, I think, on YouTube in full, and it's out of print, but you can always go back and probably find it on eBay or something. Thanks, guys, for watching. It's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. Be good.